Hi, let us now discuss today the concept of promise. Earlier, we discussed the concept of callback with an analogy of a tea store or a coffee store where the customer walked in, placed his order at the front end staff. The front end staff in turn gave the order to the back end staff, and the back end staff makes the tea or the coffee, his specific tea or coffee, and once it is ready, the front end staff calls the customer to pick up his tea or coffee. So let's see. The same thing can be simulated using the promise. Why use promise? Now, the reason why we want to use promise is because when you use callbacks, there could be a lot of nested callbacks and it could lead to maintenance issues. Promise is easier and maintainability wise, it is good. So let us see what is promise. Promise is like any other promise in life where you promise to someone something and either you fulfill or don't fulfill it. So, the same way we have three states of the promise: resolve, which is fulfilling the promise; reject, you're rejecting the promise, and you keep it the promise in the pending state. Now, let's see how to simulate the same T scenario with the promise. Okay, if you recall this T scenario, I think we place the order. We have the long running process of making the tea, and once the tea making is completed, the callback was called with pick tea, and the customer used to pick the tea. Now let us convert. Let me run this one so that you again understand the callback part. So although I written it in promise.js, it's a callback function. So it plays the order and end of program. So the long process is running. Once the long process is finished, it calls to pick the tea. Okay. Now let's convert this into promise. So assume that this is the same long running function and we say return new promise. So promise takes in a callback. Okay. So and this callback in turn, callback has two arguments: resolve or reject. And we have the same set timeout here. Now what we do is after the time is up, we call the resolve to say the tea is ready. Pick my tea. Okay. So the only difference here you see is in the make tea, I have removed the callbacks and replaced it with a new promise. Promise in turn takes a callback, and this callback has two arguments which are also takes two callbacks: resolve and reject. If it is fulfilled, it calls resolve. If it is not fulfilled, it calls rejected. So let us consider the case of success. Okay. Now we don't have the pick T here, and instead of this, so we have make T or then, and again it takes a call back. And here let's say data. And in the case of not fulfilling, again here it is an error, and let's say console.log. This is the data, right? And here console.log the error. Okay, so it's the same situation. The customer places the order, front end stuff with the front end stuff. The front end stuff asks the back end stuff to make the tea. It takes some time to make the tea. Once the tea is ready, back end stuff informs the front end stuff. Front end stuff calls the customer to pick it up, right? Resolve. So it's the same scenario here. And let's see how it runs this time. So it plays the order, end of program is executed. Now the background process, long running process is running. Once the tea is ready, the customer is called to pick up his tea, and that's how uh, promise works. So let us summarize or recap this. As soon as the customer places the order, the front end staff makes the back end requests the backend staff to make the tea. The make tea is a long running process, and once the long running process is completed, it calls the resolve. In this case of promise, resolve is equivalent to fulfilling the promise. Reject is not fulfilling the promise. So once resolve is called, the dot then the make tea dot then part is executed, and console.log will be printed with pick my tea. In case the promise is not fulfilled due to some condition, then the reject will be called, though in this code I have not shown that. And once the reject is called, you can see the catch error. So let's consider both the cases. Let me show it to you once again. Mode promise. So you can see here this is a long running process. The T is ready, the dot then. So pick my T is resolve pick my T is called, that is the dot then section is executed. Now let me consider the case of reject. Okay, now let's see what happens. So instead of pick my T, reject my T, let us see what happens in this case. End of program, and then in this case reject my T is called. Okay, so hope you understood this concept. Thank you very much.